So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Should you upgrade the iPhone 13 Pro Max to the iPhone 17 Pro Max? Now we did ourselves a speed test, so I'll leave that link down below already. And the 13 Pro Max did pretty well, but of course the 17 Pro Max came out the victor. Let's begin by talking about prices. Now, when the iPhone 13 Pro Max came out, it cost a similar price tag to the iPhone 17 Pro Max. 17 Pro Max has higher storage tiers now, which could cost you a bit more, but it's pretty impressive that they've been able to keep the price pretty close over the years. You're probably going to pay on average $100 more for storage, but if you go up to those 2 terabyte models and options, the price definitely goes up substantially. Now, the first area I want to talk to you about is the upgrade when it comes to the build and design. So several years ago, the iPhone 13 Pro Max came out, and it was basically the most refined and polished version of the iPhone 12 Pro Max. So let's go ahead and discuss the body and the build between both of these phones. Now, the iPhone 13 Pro Max housed a stainless steel frame. The phone weighed about 240 grams, and the device is glass front and rear. However, keep in mind that the iPhone 13 Pro Max was basically the first Max iPhone with a ProMotion display, and they got a reduced notch over the iPhone 12 Pro Max. It was pretty legendary for the time. It was such a good phone, and to this day, it actually still feels really nice in the hand and scrolls and works very well daily. So, like I said, when this phone came out, this one's gonna last a long time, and it sure did. Liquid glass runs just fine on here with iOS 26.1 on board here. And overall, while it doesn't have as good a battery life as when it first came out, it still gets through a whole day easily. And IP68 dust and water resistance. The device just looks classy, clean, and premium with that stainless steel edge. I really like the green color that came with this one. I covered that on the channel a few years back. They are a fingerprint magnet on the stainless steel edition, but this does have the SIM card tray, volume rockers over there. Lightning port's not my favorite, but this had pretty good speakers for the time, and that 5G antenna right there is now like a camera control on the new phone. But the only thing about this phone is that it does have a heft to it. It does feel like a little bit of a brick in your pocket. So the iPhone 17 Pro Max, if you come over here, I do feel like the actual feel is not quite as premium, but it's more functional to me. It's smoother to hold in the corners. It is a bit soft, and it is a little bit slippery as well. I actually dropped it the other day, and I now have a very tiny ding on my iPhone 17 Pro Max, so it's no longer perfect. But definitely, you can see it right there, but definitely a little bit softer feeling. The camera plateau up there sticks out a bit more, and I'm not so sure it's a better looking phone, but it definitely works better in terms of thermal efficiency and overall, just being lighter, but also giving you a bigger screen. So if you wanted reduced bezels, dynamic island, you want a phone that feels more smooth to hold in the hand, and you're okay with it being a bit lighter, which I don't know why you wouldn't be, this is going to be a really solid upgrade for you over the iPhone 13 Pro Max. But in terms of the design and the build, I would say it's not a must upgrade, but definitely it does feel like a modernized version with a couple of things that are a step back. Like I think the camera rings in this housing area looks much better on the 13 Pro Max, and so does the frame of the device. But I do like the two-tone look here. I like that this is over here. I think the orange stands out really nicely, but the green did as well for the 13 Pro Max. And I also like the corners. They're a little bit more rounded on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, but the 13 Pro Max still a legendary build. So when it comes to the displays, you are looking at an upgrade of about 0.2 inches. Now that seems like nothing on the surface, but the iPhone 17 Pro Max is touching near phablet territory now with that display, and the reduction in bezels and the dynamic island does make it feel like you're getting closer to an all screen on this device if you're used to the iPhone 17 Pro Max. However, where the 17 Pro Max still shines is that it has very sharp text still, it gets very bright, and it's still a ProMotion display with nearly no difference in resolution. So when you're reading articles and stuff like that, even in 2025 here, it's basically the same experience with maybe a different color, accuracy, because every display is a slightly different tone and stuff like that. But you are going to get yourself, if you go over here, you're going to get yourself true tone. You're going to get yourself dark mode, just like the new phone. So that's not a big difference, and scrolling through, operations do seem to be very similar. Also, the notch doesn't kind of like hide at all. You know, it's just right in your face right there. Dynamic Island also kind of like a blotch on the screen right there, so that's kind of similar. But the real upgrade, I think, for the iPhone 17 Pro Max's display comes from outdoor brightness. It is significantly brighter outdoors. You're going to have to trigger that when you get outside, but it is a little bit sharper, and I think the color accuracy looks a little bit nicer. It's also closer to an all screen, and its scratch resistance is a little bit better, although it can still crack. So I do recommend some good screen protectors and a good case to protect it from damage, like I said earlier, like I got on mine. So definitely, I would say this phone really solid and durable, but it doesn't feel quite like the tank that the 13 Pro Max felt like. But if you just put a durable cases on here, it should be just fine. So those are basically the display upgrades for the iPhone 17 Pro Max. I would say for media lovers, for people who like to consume media and also watch a lot of media videos on your phone, this is a little bit of a better experience because just that reduced bezel and that extra screen size and the longer battery life does allow you to consume more media for a longer period of time without worrying about that battery going out. So this is just a solid upgrade for those type of users. So when it comes to the software, we are running the latest versions of iOS 26 on board here, 26.1, and you can now go to display and change the liquid glass right here to tinted or clear. You could do that in 26.1 on either older phones or newer phones. But what's cool is that the iPhone 13 Pro Max with these upgrades, it actually is running pretty decent. You have the clear icon support. You do have tinted icon support right here. And it's just kind of a joy to use an older phone with like new software. It just makes you feel like, you know, your phone has been supported for a long time. But all these features are kind of the same across the board. So you're not really going to go ahead and get a 13 or go from a 13 Pro Max to the 17 Pro Max and feel like you weren't able to do this before. Now, if you never upgraded your software, you might feel that way. But if we go over here to settings, they also do have that call screening feature on here as well. So if we go down to phone, hold on, I went too fast. Let's go to phone right there. Scroll down, you can call screen here on iOS 26. And more options within messages and more. There's a ton to talk about. But when I come over here to the iPhone 17 Pro Max, mostly where I see the change in the software is going to be in the fact that you have these extra sections for hardware-based stuff. So you do have an action button section. So let's go ahead and let's go ahead and type out action button. So you have this because you have the action button. So of course, you're going to be able to do stuff with that right there, that button right there. Also, if we go into the camera section, so let's get up out of here, let's scroll here. There's going to be more to play around with here in the camera section of this phone. And of course, the hardware also is going to have a little bit different software to match the hardware on there in the actual camera application. But day to day, you know, customizing your icons, using the software, it's virtually zero difference. So let's go ahead and hit customize. You'll see we got the clear icons and things of that sort. Now, granted, it probably does run a little bit better here on the iPhone 13 or 17 Pro Max because it does have multiple amount more RAM. So we have 6 gigs here. You have 12 gigs. So that's 50% more on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. But at the end of the day, the core experience upgrade in software is not substantial, but it does run better. So it's going to be a good one if you want the polish of this new software, but you want it to run the best possible. Now, from a chip perspective, we can go ahead and launch applications all day, but I did do a speed test comparison, and I was shocked by how well the iPhone 17 Pro Max or the 13 Pro Max performed up against the 17 Pro Max. Even though this phone does have an older chip, it can still run most of the stuff you need a phone to do here in 2025. Albeit that the iPhone 17 Pro Max is going to do it a little bit cooler to the touch for sure. And also it's going to do it faster. But you know what's funny? Some of the games and some of those games have been updated so long for, and some apps have been updated for so long that the 13 Pro Max is actually slightly more optimized on certain titles because this phone just came out, so developers got to update all their stuff for the latest and greatest, which takes a while. So the iPhone 17 Pro Max, where it really tends to shine though, is nothing really relaunches. So if you do like to have multiple applications open, this one really doesn't have any issues with reloads. So that's going to be a big deal for power users. Also, if you're going to be shooting video on here and then going ahead and rendering it out on a video application, I don't think that this is going to be a disappointment. You're going to be pretty happy with this phone. But again, you really got to either want this for the camera or for the gaming, because if you're not really taking advantage of it, you're just buying the phone then just because it's the new phone, honestly, because you got to take advantage of it for it to really be worth it. And I actually have found it very worth it because I've been using a lot of these features like the front facing camera. I actually took a picture of the moon the other day on the 8X telephoto, and it finally was able to get the moon. I was only able to do that on a Samsung phone before. Check this out. So here's that photo. I took this on this iPhone 17 Pro Max, and it was the first try, and look, it's pretty good. And I know some people are thinking I was able to do that on the Pixel years ago or the Samsung years ago. Yeah, but I was never able to get this kind of shot on iPhones till now. The iPhone 17 Pro Max is able to get me a picture of the moon. It's a full moon. So definitely very happy with the zooming abilities of this device. But we kind of got sidetracked. We were talking about performance. The 12 gigabytes of RAM, the Apple A19 Pro chip clocked in at a higher benchmark. You know what you're getting. You're getting faster graphics, you're getting better cooling thermals, and you're getting faster, RAM and faster storage as well, faster transfer speeds. It truly is a pro phone on the 13 Pro Max, but now it kind of feels like a regular phone. This now feels like the pro phone of 2025. So I do think from a performance perspective, if you're going to take advantage, it's worth it. Also, another thing to note about the iPhone 13 Pro Max is a lot of people might have picked up the 128 gigs. That was the starting storage. Now they start at 256 gigs. So you might be running out of storage at this point, and you can't get no less than 256 gigs. So the starting storage doubles the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and you can get all the way up to 2 terabytes. That's pretty dope for an iPhone 17 Pro Max, especially if you're going to go ahead and use it for, video editing or just social media. You're going to be loading up tons and tons of photos, never want to worry about storage. That's a solid option, although that's Apple getting you used to a $2,000 smartphone on that 2 terabyte version though. Okay, so should you upgrade the iPhone 13 Pro Max to the 17 Pro Max when it comes to cameras? And the answer is absolutely. This is the year to go for it. It's 4 times better on each lens, going to 48 megapixels on each of the iPhone 17 Pro Max. But if we take a trip down memory lane, what I always said about the 13 Pro Max is now true for the iPhone 17 Pro Max. I always said that I like the consistency amongst these cameras because they're all 12 megapixels, and no matter what you're doing, everything was always in focus. This was one of my favorite over the past 5 years for iPhone. It probably was second to now the iPhone 17 Pro Max. The 16 Pro Max was also very good. The 14 Pro Max had a couple of issues I didn't like, and the 15 Pro Max, that was great too, but I just like the consistency of this camera right here. It was just really strong. If we go to cinematic mode, it had that. It doesn't have the action mode, but overall, it had plenty of what you needed for the phone. Also, the front was also 12 megapixels, so everything was in focus. Everything was solid. And even to this day, I could still get on with this phone, no problem. So let's go ahead and take a look now at what we're working with here for the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Everything is a bit sharper no matter which lens you're on, and it is noticeable, but now we have not only more zoom, but everything is 48 megapixels. So even when you do zoom, it's all kind of like, it's all consistent. So every lens kind of looks the same sharpness. Yeah, you do get a little bit of noise at the digital zoom range, but I love this setup. It's just such a good setup. Over here on the front, they finally improved that front-facing camera as well. So you're getting the full package, back and front. And then if we go over here, you'll see they do have the updated software, but we have cinematic mode. We do have spatial video. Action videos are available for this as well. You can see right there. Dual capture modes. So plenty to do. And then now you can take advantage of that camera control. If you didn't upgrade to a 16 model, you can do it here for the iPhone 17 Pro Max. So this to me is one of the biggest upgrades, and it's definitely over the past couple months I've had this, it's noticeable to do this change. So I would say yes, if you're looking for a better camera, each lens on the iPhone 17 Pro Max is significantly better. Is it going to be better for you? That depends on how you use your camera. If you use your camera just for daily photos and you don't really pixel peep and you don't really want to improve the quality of your daily photography and videography, you probably won't care. But I think even the average user is going to notice I have way more zoom and my front-facing camera is way better. So the audio actually got louder for the iPhone 17 Pro Max. The 17 Pro Max is now about 2 decibels louder, and you could tell just how smudgy the bottom is there. USB-C over the Lightning port is a big deal as well, but just louder speakers overall on the 17 Pro Max is an upgrade. They're not like majorly loud, like it's not a lot louder, but it's something, and it is a noticeable change. So I do have to mention it here. You do have a much bigger battery though. We're talking about 5,000 plus milliamp hours on this phone. Now it does have a little bit of a larger display to power, but if I go over here to battery, you could see that I think I got like 28 cycles on here. I don't know why my flashlight came on. 28 cycles right there, maximum capacity 100. Let me go over here. Let's see what I have. I forgot what I had on here. Battery health and charging, we're at 100% battery capacity there as well. The iPhone 13 Pro Max has a 4352, so it's actually still a sizable unit right there as well. But you can definitely notice that the 17 Pro Max lasts a bit longer. It's going to give you 13 Pro Max vibes, because back when 13 Pro Max came out, it was iconic battery life, lasting easily all day and then more. So this is kind of giving you that same similar feel that you had back then. So this is the time to go with the upgrade. If that's something you've been waiting for, you're like, nothing's going to touch my 13 Pro Max battery life. Well, yes, it is. It's a 17 Pro Max and it's out now. So definitely I would say it's worth it there. That is probably one of the single most things that keeps reminding me of the 13 Pro Max on the 17 Pro Max is the battery. So the final verdict is in. Should you do the upgrade? I think that most people could get on another year with the 13 Pro Max if they're really waiting to see if the rumored foldable iPhone does become true, or if they're just waiting to see if Apple removes or reduces the dynamic island. You could still get by the whole year with the 13 Pro Max. Let's just get that clearly out of the way. But for those of you who want to know, come on, Nick, just tell me, is it worth my money? Well, here is the bottom line. It is pretty much upgraded in every single way. Let's do a quick rundown. We talked about most of it. Let's just kind of rehash a little bit. You have the 6.7, it's a 6.9, reduction in bezels. Every single camera lens is upgraded. Larger battery, camera control, no camera control, action button, no action button. Faster CPU, double the RAM. Like almost every single area of this phone is upgraded. Reduction in premium material. Stainless steel does feel premium compared to aluminum. However, this disperses heat better no matter what you're doing. 13 Pro Max never got too hot, but it could get warmer than the iPhone 17 Pro Max. This device all across the board is pretty much an upgrade, except if you just love the way the iPhone 13 Pro Max looked. Other than that, I would say it's a go. It's not like I don't think this is like a life-changing upgrade. It's more like a modern refresh, polish, keep all your systems running smoothly, keep your day-to-day phone use modern. It just kind of keeps you with the times. I wouldn't say it's like game-changing, life-changing thing, but definitely it's up to date and everything is upgraded. It's like getting it's like your laptop has been working fine. It's 5 years old, whatever. You're like, let me just get the new one. And then you find out, okay, this is better. It's like being with this latest laptop. It's kind of like that. That's kind of how it feels. Doesn't mean it's 100% necessary, but if you are thinking if it's worth it, I'd say yes, for sure. Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Down below in the comment section. Thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you all in the very next episode. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.